Hey everybody, David Art Becker here with Becker Art, and today I want to talk to you about gluing your paper, your watercolor paper, to a panel. There's many different kind of panels you can glue them to, but I'm going to use an 1/8" plywood panel, and I'm going to just show you how easy it is to put your paper and glue it to a panel. And why do you want to do that? Why do you want to glue your paper to a panel? Is so that you can then frame it without a mat or glass, and you can wax them or varnish them. And these are watercolor, and putting them into a frame without a mat or glass and making them more valuable. Actually, you can price your work a little bit higher when it's not behind glass. It's a weird perception that we watercolorists have with our work when we put it behind glass. And so I'm trying to get all of us artists, watercolor artists, to maybe not have to use matte or glass. I don't use any more matte or glass anymore in my work. And so when I'm presenting it, it looks like just as good as a oil painting or an acrylic painting that doesn't have glass or matte behind it. All right, so let me just go right away to what you're going to be using. And I like to use gel medium, acrylic gel medium. I use Holbein's. There are in different manufacturers, but I like gel. I like their gel medium, Holbein's. And the reason you want to use gel medium is that it protects from anything that's in the wood or the panel that you're using, any kind of panel that you're using, so nothing goes from the panel into your paper. So it doesn't even have to be acid free, the panel, because this blocks it. The acrylic gel will block it from anything penetrating through to the paper. And so just actually to glue it down, it's a super simple project. So you need the panel. And again, there's many different kind of panels. I'll put in the descriptions of this video some of the panels that you can use. I did a video on that, on different panels that you can use. The paper, of course, your paper. I like to use 300 pound, even though you can use 140 and actually really thin paper. I still like to use the 300 pound because I like the surface of that, the feel of the 300 pound. So I put that on there. And then the Holbein gel medium, again, I'm telling you, is that it blocks anything from coming through into the paper. All right, and so let me just show you how easy this is to do. So you take your panel, and what you're going to do is you're just going to coat your panel. I just like to coat the panel. Some people coat both the panel and the paper, the back of the paper, but I just take the gel medium and I just put it onto the board. And that's going to be way too much, but we can just hopefully spread it out. But I think this is going to be way too much. So I'm just going to kind of take it and I'm going to rub it into the panel. And there's a little mark right here that if I'm using really thin paper, that would maybe show. So, but with 300 pound, I don't have to worry about that. And I'm going to put it on fairly thick. And I'm just rubbing it across everywhere here. See, I'm just kind of putting it all on make sure you get it on the corners, on the edges. And just make sure you got everything covered, all the edges. And see, that's pretty simple, right? Pretty simple to do. Then I like to not put the paper on top of this. I like to put this on top of the paper. But because I just have this area right here, I'm just going to rub that off of there. So I don't wreck my paper, because I don't want any of this on my paper, in the front of my paper. So I put it down right here. And so what I like to do is I like to place this. And now this is the exact size of the paper. And a lot of times I like to do it differently, where I like to have the paper oversized so that I can trim it out. But this is one thing where I've already had this panel cut to size, 11 by 14. Or, yeah, 11 by 14. This is 11 by 14. And so I'm just going to place it right on top here. And then some people like use a brayer on the paper itself. I just like going like this. I like rubbing and really pressing up as hard as I can. Sorry about that. I'm just going to go in here and just press it really hard on here. And like I said, some people like to use a brayer and go on top of the brayer, but I don't like doing anything with the paper, on top of the paper, because I feel that when you're rubbing the paper, you can flatten out that part. And so I like to just work the panel onto the paper. But that's just me. I mean, there's many different ways of doing this. Some people will put like a coating, not a coating, but a piece of paper on top of it. Like they'll do this and they'll put something on top of that and then roll it with the brayer or a rolling pin. I also have a rolling pin here, but I like to keep it so that the panel stays untouched. I want it to be untouched because this is the part that I'm gonna be painting on, so I don't want to have any scratches, any kind of things on there. So I have to keep that away from everything. And so basically, that is it. I mean, how easy is that? And now, if I had a piece of paper that was over the size, that's I would cut it and trim it afterwards. But with 300-pound paper, also I look that I don't have any air pockets, but I wouldn't have any air pockets because I really pressed down pretty hard, and I can tell right now that there's no pockets of air. If you use a thinner sheet of paper, you may get those little pockets of air, and so that's where you do want to look at it and look at it pretty carefully that you don't have any air pockets. And I notice right here I have a little bit of, I messed it up here a little bit with a little bit of this gel medium. Again, you don't want to get a gel medium on the paper because that's going to repel the paper. And so that's basically how you do it. And then what I do is I put it on a clean surface and I put encyclopedias or anything I find heavy on it. So I'll just go like this, I'll put it back down here, make sure this is all clean, make sure that's clean, and then pile of books and stuff on there, and then just let it dry. Or I have a bunch of these. This is absorbent ground, by the way. This is absorbent ground that I get to put on an area that you want to paint. Like if I want to paint without paper and just use absorbent ground, it's a gesso kind of ground that you use to make your surface paintable for watercolor. But they're pretty heavyweight, and so you can just place them on there. Books on there, your old encyclopedias that you know what to do with, put them on there and just let it dry overnight, and you're done. So how easy is that? And again, now if you don't want to do this and you do want to buy panels, there are some panels, and if actually I like the Stonehenge aqua paper, and they're putting them on aluminum panels, which is really kind of cool. And again, some people ask me, well, I don't want to put it on panels if I'm just like working my work for like class and stuff. And I understand that. You don't have to use a panel for that because it's kind of a waste then if you're using it for just practice. But when you go do a painting that you want to be framed, use a panel. Get your stuff on a panel. And like I said, Legion makes a panel. This is not the acrylic paper, or this is not the watercolor paper. This is their drawing paper, but they make 5 different kinds of paper that they glue to an aluminum panel. They do the gluing, and so you just buy it like this. And so that's one of those things you can do if you don't want to actually put the paper down on a panel like this, or because you still have to get a panel. And like I said, there is a list of panels that you can look into the description of this video where you can find them, and not where you can find them, but what to use as a panel. I like to use these this thin plywood. It bends a little bit. Like I say, some of these things bend. This aluminum panel definitely does not bend. So if you really want to use something that's really strong, these aluminum panels are unbelievable. And some people even like to use these panels and paint on the actual panel, on the aluminum, or you can use the paper on the other side and do your watercolor. All right, so I just want to show you that, start putting some panels together. It's really simple. Gel medium is all you need. And again, I wouldn't use the glue, the acid-free glue, which is okay, but I just like this because it protects the paper from having anything come from the panel into the paper. So that I find the gel medium protects that, where I think the glue doesn't protect it as much as well, or at all. I'm not sure, but I've heard. This is what I've heard from the professionals to say that gel medium protects anything that's going to go through from the board to the paper. All right, so get yourself some gel medium. And get yourself a brush, chip brush. I just like these chip brushes, and then just put it on there, put it on and roll it with a rolling pin or not, and just do like I did. I just pound it like this, and put heavy objects on it, and you're good. All right. As soon as it dries, you can start painting. And yes, maybe you don't want to use these panels to use as practice because it's kind of like, well, you're using unless you're going to put another coat of absorbent ground over it, then go ahead. But I just find that now I'm doing this a lot, all my papers, so that I can just put it right into a frame without having to use a mat or glass. All right, till next time, until Thursday when we meet for our autumn scene we're doing this week. On Thursday at 6:30 Central Standard Time, we do a paint along, and so come by then on Thursday, and I'll see you then. All right, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.